Flight Dreams, a Mark Manning mystery, Book 1. Author, Michael Kraft. Publisher, Open Road Integrated Media, New York. Narrator, Eric Ost. Friday, December 25. 7 days till deadline. The steward finally does awaken Manning to tell him they are landing. Manning steadies his watch, dazed. He has slept nearly 3 hours. The captain's voice crackles that it is Christmas in Phoenix, just past midnight. 55 degrees under clear, starry skies. He thanks his passengers for flying Carter Air, then switches off the intercom and drops the plane silkily onto a runway that has never been plowed. Manning gathers his luggage from the closet at the front of the cabin and walks the jetway from the plane to the terminal, anxious to call Neil. He shuffles through the yattering crowd of friends and relatives who linger with arriving passengers at the gate, then emerges into a concourse and shoots off bags in both hands in search of a phone. "What's the big hurry, Mark? You won't get far without me." Manning turns as Neil walks up behind him from the crowd at the gate. Manning puts his bags on the floor and reaches to embrace him. They hug for long moments, without speaking, patting each other on the back with a silent language of tenderness that reveals the toll of their separation. The weeks they were apart, that dragged into months, connected only by the thread of Neil's one awkward letter. Manning finally utters, "You're here. How'd you know I'd be on this flight?" "I've been here since mid-afternoon." Manning opens his mouth to reprimand him, but Neil continues, "I came because I couldn't get a damn thing done at work. Because everyone else left early for Christmas Eve, and because I'd rather wait here to meet you than wait at home for the phone to ring. I stuck around till the last flight left Chicago, then checked with the airline, and sure enough, you were on it. And here we are. Welcome to Phoenix, Mark." Neil produces a bouquet of delicate red flowers, like a magician, yanking them from nowhere. He has made no effort to hide them, but Manning didn't notice them in the scuffle of their embrace. "They're beautiful," says Manning as he studies the profusion of strange crimson buds. Flower names have always eluded him, but he can tell that these are some exotic species, rare if not unknown in the Midwest. "No one's ever given me flowers before." "You're kidding," says Neil, dismayed that no one has paid so obvious a tribute to Manning's charms. "Merry Christmas, Mark." "Merry Christmas, Neil." Then Manning adds, "It's all been so rushed, this trip, I mean. I'm afraid I didn't bring you anything." Slyly, Neil answers, "Oh, yes, you did," and picks up the larger of his guest bags. Manning rolls his eyes as he lifts the other bag. They walk down the concourse together and exit the terminal. Outdoors in the parking lot, Manning is chagrined to discover that it is not cold. Neil wears only a light sweater. Manning's topcoat is far too warm, and he wonders why he bothered to put it on as he left the plane. He knew what temperature to expect. The captain announced it, but the words meant nothing until he felt the spring-like midnight air of December in the desert. Once in the car and beyond the airport grounds, Neil drives swiftly through the city along boulevards that resemble expressways more than local streets. There are a few tall buildings, not by Chicago standards, but the horizon is broken, instead by the hulking peaks of mountains, some rising from within the city limits. Manning has always prided himself on a keen sense of direction, but he finds this environment disorienting. At home, he thinks in terms of Lake Michigan. There is always water to the east. He has no such bearings here. "So, they're having a white Christmas in Chicago," Neil muses as he guides the car up a road on the side of a mountain. "Yeah, they certainly are, and they're welcome to it," says Manning, relishing his own escape. "It was a bitch of a storm." "It's probably the same one that rolled through here on Tuesday." "It rained, Mark. Rained hard. Now everything's washed and clean and blooming. Just wait till morning. We'll take that run together that I promised you. You'll see how spectacular Christmas Day can be." He pulls into the driveway of a low house hidden by a wall. They emerge from the car into a parking court where soft lighting washes upward across the white stucco facade of the house, a boxy structure that blends with the wall, concealing the terraced courtyard. From the street, a black sky stretches overhead, pierced everywhere by stars. Manning is aware of nothing else, for the courtyard has the privacy of indoor space. Neil removes Manning's bags from the car and places them at his feet. As the bottoms of the bags scrape the terrace, their sound seems amplified in the stillness. "Neil, where are we?" Manning wonders aloud. "Where's the city? What happened to the mountain? How far is your nearest neighbor?" Neil laughs, a satisfied noise that says his efforts have succeeded. "There are houses within 30 feet of us. You're standing on the mountain, and the city's over there," he says, pointing through and beyond the house. He picks up the bags and motions with his head for Manning to follow. They walk through a narrow passage that slits the front wall of the house. There's a slated arbor overhead, a boardwalk underfoot. On both sides of the boardwalk, narrow beds sprout with leafy ground cover, cactuses and little flowering bushes that bear the same red buds Manning still holds in one hand. At the end of the walk is a tall slab of a door, which Neil unlocks and swings open. He reaches inside to switch on a few lights and steps aside so Manning can enter first, alone. Manning walks into the room and is drawn to the wall of glass at its opposite end, to the panoramic display of city lights that flow down the side of the mountain, then endlessly across the floor of the desert, interrupted only by the dark forms of other mountains. He crosses the room slowly, but with the confidence of having been there many times before, as though the setting were not new to him. Approaching the big windows, he finds that some of them are doors leading to another terrace, similar to the one in front, except that it gives the impression not of enclosure, but of openness, like a viewing platform perched above the city below. He opens one of the doors, and again, as though he has done it before, and steps outdoors. The dominant feature of the back terrace, other than its view, is a small swimming pool, perfectly square, no more than 15 feet to a side. Its inside is tiled with black, not blue, making the water's smooth surface strikingly reflective. Interlocking rectangular decks descend toward the pool, forming ledges for sitting or lounging. The lowest of these decks, at the water's edge, is covered with long, flat cushions, upholstered in raw canvas. The stucco walls of the house extend outward from the sides of the building so that the terraces and pool are enclosed on three sides, hidden from the view of other homes, exposed only to the anonymous city and sky. "Pretty, isn't it?" says Neil. He has followed Manning through the house and out to the edge of the pool. Manning turns. He stammers. I'm overwhelmed." He waves his arm in an arc that embraces the house, the pool, the grounds. "Only you could build this. This is yours. This is you." He drops the red flowers from his other hand onto the mat beside the pool and breathes a sigh of admiration for Neil's talents. "Pretty? It's sublime." Neil tells him, "I was referring to the view, but I'm delighted that you approve of the whole package. Welcome to my home." He walks toward Manning and extends his arms. Manning steps forward and, for the first time in his life, presses his lips to those of another man. He surrenders not only to another person, but to an idea, to the imagined scorn that others will hurl at him, to a drive that has been locked and buried deep within him. How long? He wonders as his tongue probes the teeth of the man whose body clings to him. Why only now? His mind asks, mocking, as he tastes the new substance of their mingled spit. It is a passionate kiss, but its physical message is one of warmth, not lust. Not tonight. Neil finally says, "It's chilly out here. Let me show you the house." Manning obeys without protest, for he is eager to see the full product of Neil's design talents. They re-enter the main room of the house. Neil closing the glass door behind them, switching on more lights. The living room, dining area, and an open kitchen are contained in the one large room, tranquil and elegant, painted a dark, nondescript color. Limestone flooring extends the depth of the house from front to back. Furnishings are sparse and expensive. Manning's eye is drawn to an antique console table placed against an otherwise bare wall. The table is 5 or 6 feet long, barely more than a foot deep, crafted of honey-colored birch, accented with black trim. A row of shallow drawers runs beneath the mottled marble top, supported by a row of simple, classically proportioned columns that rise from the front of the wooden base. The overall style of the piece is restrained and masculine, offset by Neil's whimsical addition of bright silk tassels that hang from each of the brass keys in the drawer locks. "Yes," Neil says, "it's real." Lacking Neil's knowledge of such matters, Manning responds with an embarrassed shrug. "Sorry," says Neil, leading Manning across the room to examine the console more closely. It's Biedermeier, an early 19th century German style, sort of a working man's version of French Empire. But the style has gotten very popular and pricey in recent years, so there are lots of contemporary knockoffs in production. Now, this, however, he pats his prized piece of furniture, is genuine. I was lucky enough to place the winning bid at an estate sale last year. "It's stunning," Manning tells him. He gives Neil's shoulder a squeeze as if to congratulate him on the acquisition. "Thanks," says Neil, putting his arm around Manning's waist. "I admire your taste." Then something occurs to him. "Speaking of taste, would you care for a drink?" Manning doesn't need to answer. It's been a long, wearing day with a happy ending. Of course, he'd like a drink. They cross to the other side of the room where Neil rattles around in the kitchen. Within a minute, he hands Manning a glass. There's no need to ask. It is indeed the Japanese vodka. They raise their glasses in a toast to Manning's arrival, then drink. Not quickly, as if priming themselves for glassfuls to follow, but slowly, recognizing that this is a nightcap. A moment to savor. As Manning drinks, he studies the room again, while Neil in turn studies his friend's wandering gaze. Manning says, "This is exactly where I would expect you to live. I couldn't quite picture it from what you and Roxanne told me about it, but now that I'm here, I can't imagine it any other way." "But do you like it?" Neil asks, his never given a second thought to other people's feelings about his house, his design, work, his taste. So he is shaken by the fact that he now cares deeply about Manning's answer. "Of course I do," says Manning. Neil presses the question. "Do you like it because of your feelings toward me, or do you like it yourself?" "I like it myself. I marvel at your clarity of thought and your power of vision and your ability to translate them into something that's real and concrete. Not just words or rhetoric. My God, you've taken an idea, a way of thinking, a life, and you've actually built a house out of it. Yes, I like it myself. Not because it's yours, but because of how and why you did it." Neil kisses Manning on the cheek. "You say all the right things. We word people deserve something to our credit," Manning says with an innocence that prompts them both to laugh. Neil shows Manning through the rest of the house. It's a quick tour because it's a small house. Its plan is that of a chubby H, with the big room at its center. Each side of the H is a bedroom wing with a bath. The second bedroom is used as Neil's studio, but a comfortable-looking cushioned platform has been made up there as a bed to accommodate his guest. As Neil places the baggage near the platform, Manning stifles a yawn. "Hey, Mark, it's getting late. It's been a hell of a day, and we're both shot. Suppose we call it quits?" "Sure," says Manning, having hoped that Neil would make the suggestion. Before leaving the room, Neil turns to ask, "Bring your running shoes?" "You bet." Manning waves toward one of his bags. "It should be a beautiful morning, so let's not waste it. Mind if I wake you around 8? "Please do," says Manning. "But I'm bound to be up by then. I slept on the plane." "Good night, Mark." "I'm glad you're here." "So am I." A death-like sleep sweeps over Manny tonight. A sleep that stops his brain, washing his mind of accumulated tensions and doubts that have more and more muddied his waking hours. If he dreams at all, he does not know it, will not remember it. A Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. To offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.